Welcome everybody to our very first town hall. I'm Mrs. Webb. The hope of these meetings, these weekly meetings, is really just an opportunity for us to chit chat, for me to answer any questions that you might have about the school year, about the week ahead. And so, as Mr. Bobadilla mentioned, all of the questions will be funneled through the chat. So if you do have a question about school or about me in general, please feel free to ask. This newsletter, our community comment, was sent out yesterday via Parent Square. Just a simple message from myself every week and discussing what's gone on and what to look forward to in the week ahead. Mr. Bobadilla, if you wouldn't mind scrolling up just a little bit. It is translated in Spanish as well. Most of you probably saw this, which is why you have the Zoom link and are here present in our meeting today. I appreciate your attendance. So a couple of things that I wanted to mention while I have your ear is that we were very, very pleasantly, I shouldn't say surprised, but it felt really good to have so many students attending live sessions last week. We anticipated, technology problems and some other things, but and we did encounter a few of those, but in the first day, our attendance was in the 80s, and within a couple of days, we had our attendance up to 94%. We had about 3 classes with 100% participation, which is just fabulous. And I thank you so much to all of our families, our parents and grandparents and relatives and babysitters for really supporting our kids during this interesting time in education, where we're asking them to be the facilitators of their own learning and be more independent learners. So a couple of things for this week. Lunch schedule has changed. We wanted to make a block lunch schedule so that families weren't having to decide whether to come and get a lunch or have their kids log out of live sessions early. So you will find this week that all of the class schedules are pretty stable with that 11:30 to 1:30 lunch period. So during that time, there's time to have lunch at home or to come pick up a lunch here at school, with plenty of time to make it back home to do independent work and attend the landing session in the afternoon with kids. During this time also, we are really hopeful, because it's 2 hours, to start providing some options for our kids to log into lunchroom Zoom, where they can just have some free time to see their friends and talk about what's going on and things of their own interest. An adult will be present in those meetings also. So, but just more of a free chat for our kids to get some social time. We're also looking at clubs during that time, maybe chess club or video game club or Rubik's Cube club. So I would love your feedback in terms of things that are of interest to your children. Some clubs that you might like to see them participate in. We feel really very strongly right now that FaceTime is so important with our kids and their teachers, but also with each other, to have opportunities to socialize with their friends during school time, just as they would have if we were on campus. So the more opportunity we have to provide kids with like breakout sessions that are not academic focused and focused on their interests, the better. We also now have a Grimway Academy Shafter Twitter. So I'm excited to start tweeting out all of the things that we are doing on campus as well. So if you would follow us on Twitter, that would be great as well. We'll be providing information on the Twitter platform now. So at this time, I will go ahead, and Mr. Bobadilla, if there are questions, I would love to answer questions. Yes, there is an updated printable daily schedule that reflects the new lunch block, I believe. So, Mr. Bobadilla, if you could scroll up, please. We're on our screen. We can just barely see that daily schedule. Yes, whatever we tweet out, we will also make sure is on Facebook as well. There is an app for that. So we're getting that straightened out in terms of whatever we put on one platform will automatically push out to all of the platforms, exclusive of Parent Square. We will have to do that separately. Let's see. That new schedule is right there on the screen. So you should have access to download it there. Any other questions? And not just questions, but suggestions as well. You know, as a new employee to Grimway in this leadership role, I really am hopeful that that as a community, you know, you feel heard and that your feedback and suggestions are very much welcome. I feel like I can only get better and we can only get better school-wide with the contributions of our families. Yes, can I purchase a uniform shirt for my child? She's new and wants one. Absolutely. Our office is open daily. We do have social distancing precautions in place. So out front, we do have a pop-up shade and some indicators on the ground to distance 6 feet apart. And then the office staff will buzz you in when it's safe to do so. Yes, the information will also be put on Parent Square. So aside from our social media platforms, we will push out all of our information on Parent Square. Parent Square right now is our primary source of communication. Any videos that we make will also go out on Parent Square as where. That's where you will see our videos. Yes. Okay, so that was a question. Will we make information available on Parent Square, not just Facebook or Twitter? All of our information will be pushed out on all of our platforms. Videos will be pushed out on Parent Square. We're working on the other platforms as well. The updated daily student schedules can also be viewed on our website at gashafter.org. Just a side note, as we maneuver through distance learning, you might see changes in the schedule periodically, and the lunch schedule won't change. We will keep that consistent. But in terms of live sessions and what those live sessions look like, we're working right now very closely with every grade level to create a schedule that supports the best type of learning for our students. So between your children, I have 3 children of my own. One is in middle school, one is in high school, and one is an adult. He is a teacher as well. So we're trying to figure that out in our own household in terms of who's on the computer and what time and who's live and whose cameras are all on. So live sessions might change a little bit. Your kids might not be on lives at the same time, but launch and landing will remain the same and lunches will remain the same too. We're working to embed some more time with our art and music and PE specialists so that kids have opportunities throughout the day to potentially log into sessions with those instructors as well. I'm looking through the chat to see questions. The office hours right now are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you, Miss Montoya. Yes, there is a parent committee. It's the parent of Grimway Academy. We call that POGA. There was some information sent out in Parent Square from the parent committee with some more details on that and their email address. Okay, thank you. We will get that fixed. The Kinder links appear to both be in Spanish, and so we will make sure that the English one is uploaded appropriately as well. Okay. Any other questions? Any specific questions about what the year might look like? Any suggestions on what you like to see? I know at one point I had somebody reach out regarding just more FaceTime from our teachers, more opportunities for the kids to see their teachers in person, but a distance, like our community parades, you know, car parades and posters posted. So we're working on putting those types of things together too. We're also currently putting our virtual open house together. So any thoughts and ideas regarding things of that nature are absolutely welcome. We appreciate all of the support and all of the suggestions from everybody too. We're really focusing on our kids right now and the academic instruction and what that looks like and what it looks like for distance learning. But if we don't know the struggles that our parents are facing right now, then it makes it difficult to support you. So anytime you find that, you know, there's something that would help support learning in the home, please reach out so that we know. There are a lot of things I feel like right now we are focused on and addressing, but some of those things I think are not on our minds. And so unless we hear back from our parents, I mean, and some of them very, very, very valid, like, you know, just finding a quiet place in the home and having the appropriate supplies to do the lessons that are being presented. Please let us know if we can help support that learning and what that looks like for you. Had a couple people new to the meeting, just a little recap in terms of finding weekly information on our weekly community comment newsletter that's pushed out through Parent Square. We also now have Twitter at GA Shafter that you can follow. All of the questions are being facilitated through the chat. So if you've noticed the chat bubble at the bottom of the page here and you have questions, please send them. Big shout out to the teachers and staff. Okay, so one thing about the audio, we have found that the audio issues sometimes are broadband issues. So if you have your video showing and you're trying to talk, that sometimes you get that robot voice. Same thing with the teachers. The teachers are also having those issues where they're, you know, of course it's very important that they have their face up, their camera on, but that's pulling a lot of that, I'm not quite sure what to call it. It's jamming up the connectivity, so to speak. And so sometimes if you just turn the camera off, that helps free up that space so that the audio then comes through clearer. So for your scholar, if they have their video on, but it's their turn to speak, they may need to, you know, momentarily turn their video off and talk so that their voice comes through clearer and then mute themselves and then turn their camera back on. That's what our teachers have been doing, and that seems to help really resolve some of those issues in terms of getting that that robotic voice. Hope that answers that question. It's definitely not just you. That audio component has been an issue for a lot of us, whether we feel like we have good connection or not. I think that the video portion of Zoom just really takes up a lot of energy, so to speak, when trying to get that audio to come through nicely. Great. They appreciated the recorded lessons and live instruction. We're definitely looking at ways to improve our live instruction, to provide students with more opportunities for small groups. We're also looking at really how we're teaching right now. We know that we are in a very non-traditional learning setting right now, and that, you know, we are competing with all the fun things at home, our siblings, and playing games and video games and our TV shows. And so we're really looking at how to provide live content, which has been recorded for later access, but then also following up with activities that are more project-based and hands-on, engaging, scavenger hunts, different ways at home that students can demonstrate their learning. So as a staff, as we maneuver through our instruction and what that looks like at home, you can definitely anticipate more engaging activities at home. So your teachers will be communicating that with you in the weeks and days to come. I have a question. Do the kids need to use uniforms? Right now, as a staff, we really believe that we're trying as best as possible to maintain the integrity of our program, what it looks like at school. And so we had this discussion, and we felt that, you know, if our expectation is that students wear uniforms when they are at school, except for on special days, that's the expectation at home as well. More so just to get them in that mental space of, I'm wearing my shirt, I'm with my teacher in Zoom, or I'm working on my lesson at home, and hopefully that one connection to what they're wearing helps them get into that that mindset of school. So rather than, you know, wearing their play clothes, or, you know, what they would wear at home, we do believe that uniform, at least the shirt, right? We're talking about our Zoom attire here, where we've got, you know, just what people can see. At least if they have that shirt on, and also in the Zoom classroom, when they can see each other and they're all in their uniforms, again, it just builds that that community piece. And hopefully the kids are feeling more of a sense and connectedness to the school and to their peers. So we absolutely encourage, you know, that they get up in the morning, and that we talked a lot about routine too, that this helps them with their routine, so that when we do come back to school, they're still in that routine where they wake up and brush their teeth and make their bed and have, you know, a little breakfast and have their uniform on. We talked as a staff in terms of our norms for our students, where if they wouldn't do it in a classroom, that they're not doing it in their classroom at home, like eating breakfast in a live session, and so on and so forth. So we're just really trying to maintain, you know, some connectedness to the learning environment by asking students to continue to wear their uniform shirt. Okay, can there still be any packets made for each week, just like last time it helped? Yes, I do. We have been talking about that too, mostly with our younger students. I mean, we see value in it for all students, but with our Kinder 1-2 students, we absolutely know that with fine motor skill development, you know, holding a pencil, writing their name, tracing lines, cutting paper, those are skills that we would be working on at school. So those are skills they should be working on at home as well. So the teachers in the weeks to come, we will have opportunities for some packet work to go out to practice those skills. We also feel like, you know, not just inclusive of packet work, but also making sure that kids aren't just working on the computer, that they do feel like there is a work product. So, you know, that looks like, sometimes that looks like paper pencil tasks. Sometimes that looks like a practice book or a journal. And so, yes, in the weeks to come, you will definitely see more hard copy type stuff coming home. And agree, it does help get my son in the school mindset. We agree too. Having those tangible items, paper, pencil, scissors, we want kids to stay in that school mindset as well. And it's difficult when we're only working from the computer all day long. I believe that as a staff, we very much value the idea of less screen time is more. We don't want kids on the computer all day long, which is why we're really looking to look at our schedules in terms of providing some indirect instruction and then giving kids some work time, and also providing them a space for collaborative small groups like they would at school here too. So pushing them out into Zoom rooms where they can discuss with their friends and their about the work that they're doing, so that they can have some collaborative time where they're talking about and discussing all things school. So just to clarify, our uniforms required starting this week. At this point, I want to be very clear. We are strongly encouraging that students wear at least their uniform shirt, just to provide some consistency in what the school day and requirement would be. Rest assured, there is no consequence or punitive measure. We aren't enforcing that in any way. Clearly, your children are at home, and so we're just hoping to provide just that one more piece to a consistent learning environment with our students. And again, a routine that they know that that's something that they do to get up and get ready for the school day. It puts them in that school mindset. And so your support with that is appreciated. And as much as possible, we would like to see them wearing their uniform shirts every day when they are in live session. Yes, so will our special education students get packets? I just had a meeting this morning with our entire SPED department in terms of meeting service minutes and providing accommodations that will help our students. We talked about students on a very individual basis because we recognize that all of our kids have very specific and unique learning needs. So I encourage you, whatever is going to help your child and your family navigate distance learning, to please reach out to myself. Definitely be reaching out and having open and consistent communication with teachers in terms of what the expectation is for our scholars, what the expectation is at home for them to work on. And if you feel that you need additional supports like hard copies and packets and things of that nature, to please, yes, absolutely reach out to your teachers so that we can get those things for you. Ooh, I like that. Book clubs based on literacy block groups. Yes, we're looking at some like center opportunities too. So looking at book clubs, that would be fun during that extended lunch period. Thank you for that. Any other questions or suggestions? So somebody says, so they should not be having breakfast during their morning Zoom. That is a norm that we've established. I mean, for parents at home, our goal is to really try to maintain as much of that classroom dynamic as possible, so that when they are at home, they have a designated space that is considered their classroom, their learning environment. And so again, as a staff, we kind of talked about those norms, and we are hopeful that with that mindset of, you know, if they wouldn't be doing it in the classroom, that they're still upholding those expectations in their own learning environment at home. So most teachers have developed things like, you know, how to use the restroom. So we're still, you know, providing signs for the teacher to know that they need to use the bathroom, and maybe they've turned off their camera and excused themselves to the restroom. But if they don't signal to the teacher, then in the teacher's minds, they've just gotten up and like walked off. And it's like, where did that child go? Are they coming back? And so, you know, they wouldn't do that in the classroom. They wouldn't just get up and leave. So we're trying to figure these types of things out with distance learning, is that how can we still have these expectations with our students, same expectations that would be in the classroom with their teachers. Let's see, I'm not sure if I've missed any of your questions. Please feel free to just repeat that question so that it pops up at the bottom of the screen. So right now, somebody asks, you know, to give a little insight on how standardized testing will look like. We still plan on providing some of those regular assessments that we do to create goals with our students, and they will take those assessments via the computer. A lot of these assessments they would have taken online in the classroom, and so it will look very similar. I mean, the teacher will still facilitate the assessment. We have a program called Go Guardian that allows the teacher to see all of the students' screens all of the time. So our teachers are using Go Guardian to watch what kids are doing when we are doing like whole group projects and assessments like that, to make sure that everybody is on, and that if they need additional assistance or guidance, that the teacher can provide that for them during assessments. In terms of state assessments, we do not have any guidance or knowledge of what that will look like. You know, they did cancel CAST testing in the spring. It would be my best guess that we will not see that, you know, again this year. However, we could see something else, some sort of assessment that just provides data on where our kids are currently at academically. So simple drawing classes for lunch blocks would be nice. I love that. So we are looking and working very closely with our art teacher right now to get some, so I like that, directed drawing activities. Thank you. So I have a question about students who walk to get lunch. Do all kids need to go for lunch pickup? So our lunch service right now really is based on whether you want to come and pick up a lunch or not. We don't have any way currently to take, like, you know, a lunch count or know who's coming to get lunches. So I'm not quite sure if I'm answering these questions about lunches. So if there's some more detail that you can provide me, that would be helpful for me. We did feel like that 2-hour block allowed for our walkers. And then we also realized that, you know, we have a little over 700 scholars right now, and lunch service, typically we see anywhere from 200 lunches being picked up to upwards of 500 lunches being picked up. And so it really is dependent on the day. I think there's no way for us to know right now how many lunches we are serving. So, you know, we try and keep a consistent amount prepared. but so that we have them available for all families who choose to come and get a lunch each day. Math club. I like math club to accelerate learners. Math club. We also, I'm not aware regarding our participation in the math bowl every year, if that's something that our scholars have had the opportunity to do, but we could certainly prepare a math club with the hopes of maybe there's going to be a virtual math bowl this year. Last year, we had math bowl right at the beginning of March. So I know that we had that was one last countywide activity that our students were able to participate in before we had forced closures. So we could definitely look at math club and participation in math bowl this year. Hopefully it's live, but if not, I have a feeling that they might come up with something virtual. So we'll look into that. So music right now we're working on. We're really trying to develop a system where it's as close to the school day as possible. And why we know it's not going to be that long, we recognize that our scholars have, can do some live instruction for about 15 minutes to 30 minutes before distraction becomes an issue. And so we're looking at our schedule in terms of providing more opportunities for small pieces of lives, and then independent work, but then also putting in, if scholars had music on Mondays and art on Tuesdays, we're looking at what that looks like in terms of our schedule. So hopefully by next week, scholars will have the opportunity to visit a music teacher on this day and the garden on this day. We definitely want to include those in our daily schedules. So depending on what grade levels your students are in, those music opportunities would be specific to the grade levels. So there's a question about, I have 3 children who attend the school. Do all 3 have to go? I'm presuming that that's in regard to lunches. We know that sometimes it can be difficult to pack up, all of the kids. In my former role, we had a family of 12, and so it was understandable to pack up all children to come and get lunches. We know you, and so to that question, we're not going to deny additional lunches if we know that you have additional children. Oh, okay. So I see. So Sarah, your question about the lunch schedule and children needing to leave a live session to go get lunches, we recognize that that was an issue this past week, that the live sessions were staggered and that they overlapped into our lunch schedule. So Chef Jerry informed me that, the first hour of lunch, we maybe had 15 people, but then that last hour of lunch, we had 200 people come. And so we saw the need to change our lunch and make it consistent so that it did not interfere with the live session. So now everybody has that same 11:30 to 1:30 lunch block, and the teachers know that their live session should not go past 11:30. That way parents aren't having to make that decision to, leave their child at home while they run and get lunches, or we're waiting for 2 of the 3 kids to finish live so we can go get lunches. That should be consistent from now moving forward. 11:30 to 1:30, there should be no required live sessions during that 2-hour blocks to allow for families to come get lunches. We recognize that some families might be walking, some kids might be walking, by themselves. And also, some families might need to leave their work to do that as well. I'm going to swing by, pick up the kids on my lunch break and get a lunch and take care of that business during that time. So we've made that consistent for all families. There is a question about a lunch menu, and we have been working on that right now. Our food service delivery is unpredictable, just like a lot of things are right now. And so unfortunately, it doesn't allow for us to provide a lunch menu because quite frankly, we don't always know what we're going to have access to. And we, right now, we feel like providing a lunch menu, but then not being able to possibly provide what's on that menu would be, would just cause confusion. So at this time, we don't have a lunch menu because of the uncertainty of some deliveries, but we really hope that moving forward, that's something that we could get out, even if it's like the day before or, you know, or a week at a time. We're definitely looking at that and communicating with the cafe regularly. Any other questions? Did I miss anything? There should be a way, just here in the chat, underneath the chat, there's a drop down menu. Hopefully you should see my name if you want to send me something just to me right now. You can do that. You guys can also always email me. Please feel free to email me. Mr. Bobadilla, if you're still there, if you could scroll up to my email address, I believe I put it under my principal message. I am pretty much always available. Thank you for you guys to email me, and then during the office hours to give me a phone call too. Right now, most of my day is spent meeting in Zooms with departments and teachers, but I am absolutely happy to return phone calls and schedule Zooms too. If you'd like to meet as if we would face-to-face in an office meeting, we can certainly set up a Zoom meeting too. Okay, so I think because I'm new to Grimway, I'd like a little bit better understanding of will lunches be more kid-friendly this year. One thing I thought was very exciting about Grimway was that we did a lot of, I mean, just looking at the previous lunch menus, there was a lot of meals that were outside of the typical, you know, corn dog and pizza and chicken nuggets and things like that. So is that what you mean by that question? Will lunches be more kid friendly? I'm gonna presume so. Right now, our lunches, we're really having to focus on them being mobile friendly, I guess you could say. I mean, in terms of having to be a sack lunch. So right now, some of the things that we previously made that were more of an entree, enchiladas and things like that, are a little bit more prohibitive for us to do in a sack lunch format. So we're trying to come up with ideas that are sack lunch friendly. I'd also love to hear like suggestions on what you'd like to see in lunches. I mean, we do have parameters in terms of the school lunch program on what we can do, but to have conversations with Chef Jerry about, you know, what our families would like to see, and if we can make that happen, I would love feedback on that as well. Okay, I'm gonna scroll through the chat right now just to see if I missed anything. Oh, here's one that I missed. Didn't they eat breakfast in the classroom together? That's something that I don't know. And if they did that, then Miss Irene is nodding yes. So maybe we do make that inclusive. So Miss Irene, I don't think that you can unmute yourself. I'm not sure, but maybe thumbs up, thumbs down. Did that happen in launch? It did happen in launch. Okay. So thank you for that, because that was one thing that we talked about eating during, you know, live sessions. But if they had breakfast together in the mornings and lunch, then maybe that's something we explore as a classroom tradition. So I appreciate that. Okay. Oh, so a little bit about myself, what sparked my interest in Grimway. So a little bit about myself. This is my 17th year in education. I've taught grades 2 through 6. I taught for 6 years before going into administration. I was an assistant principal for 3 years and a vice principal for 1 year. And then I became a principal of an elementary school. Well, we had preschool. I had 2 SDC classes on my campus, a severely handicapped county class on that campus, and then we went up to 6th grade on that campus. I was a principal for 4 years and then shifted to a role at a district office to become an academy specialist. So last year I spent as a science academy and ag academy specialist. And that's really where my interest in working with and for Grimway sparked. I had a little bit of background prior to that, and I'm very, very passionate about project-based learning and differentiated learning, individualized learning paths, STEM education. And so when I learned more about Grimway and also nutrition, I feel like there's not a lot of opportunity for that. And so when I first learned about Grimway, I teach for the University of Laverne. I teach digital literacy and instructional technology for educators. And at the time, I was also co-teaching the senior seminar course. So a lot of our teachers that were just getting ready to graduate with their credential, and Grimway HR came into that class and spoke about their program and their belief system. And it was funny in the moment because they were there to talk to our students about coming to work as educators, but I felt like I was the one asking a large majority of the questions, and it seemed almost unreal to me what they were doing and their mission and their values and all of the teacher support, and so that's what really I literally went home and looked up employment opportunities, but last year. So I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. Last year also, in my role as a Science and Agriculture Academy Specialist, I worked with Grimway Foundation and the Edible Schoolyard to bring garden programs and kitchen programs similar to what we have here to other campuses outside of Grimway. So in Bakersfield City School District, also looking, at the BV garden program in the Panama Buena Vista Union School District as well. And so last year I spent a lot of time working with Edible Schoolyard education and moving that vision forward for other children in Kern County. And so while I absolutely loved that role and was not looking to leave, when this opportunity presented itself and I saw that this vacancy was available, pretty much the background, and I knew that it was an opportunity that I couldn't miss out on. So the fact that I'm here is for me just such a blessing, and I'm really excited. I feel like it's very important for people to know that I chose Grimway too. So so there's the long answer about my interest in Grimway. Okay, salads and stroganoffs. Okay. Okay. So maybe some suggestions about lunches that students really seemed to enjoy to help us drive that insight forward. I think this last week we had ham sandwiches, we had hot dogs, we did have a pasta. I also think we had a panini. I'm not quite sure what else there was, but I'm super interested in what is coming out of the cafe also. Okay. Warm lunches is something that we're definitely looking into, and what that looks like. Warm in terms of, like, I know the pasta was last week was the first like warm lunch we provided. Also keeping in mind something that can be reheated in case it gets a little cold on the way home. So we were looking at that. Okay, last week was better, more kid friendly. Okay, good to know. And I think right now that's kind of like what, you know, we're kind of forced to do. Oh, nachos would be good. We'd have to look at the container and like the, you know, how to do that, but that could definitely work in terms of being a sack lunch. Any other suggestions? I know we're just about 5 minutes away, and I want to make sure that that we respect everybody's time. And any other lunch suggestions? Anything else you'd like to know about me? Okay. Thank you, Irene, for being present. I appreciate you. I know Sabrina was on as well. Well, that was a great first town hall. Interesting to see everybody, and the questions were really great. So thank you all again for attending. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting for all right now. Do not hesitate to reach out. My email is right there, and give the office a call as well. Take care.